Alright, so I have my Kershaw Link in 420 high carbon steel. I have my Lansky, and I already went through the extra coarse, medium, and fine stones because, let's face it, no one wants to watch a whole sharpening. So, I have my stone. We'll wipe that off a little bit. You won't be able to get everything, but you'll be able to get some. I've been sharpening this on the lowest setting. So what I do is, after the 600 grit stone, you do get a very, very good edge out of that. It's not so shiny. So what I like to do is put a couple drops of oil on the stone, rub it on, and I already have raised a burr that goes over to this side. So what I like to do is I like to run the stone first, break off most of the burr. I will feel to make sure that there is no more burr. And now it's time to really polish the blade. So I go up and down sometimes. I go like this in a circular motion. It honestly doesn't matter in the last stone that you use, because it's really only going to polish it. There are some people that go by the amount of strokes you do on one side. I don't do that until I get to my Sapphire Stone, which brings up an amazing shine and polish to the blade. Before I had the Sapphire Stone, the 1000 grit was really nice. It left a pretty good shine on it, but not quite a mirror. And on this stone and the Sapphire Stone, you can barely hear it, because it's not really grinding into the stone. The higher the grit that you use, the quieter it should be, and the smaller the burr is on the other side. What I like to do is I take that off, wipe off all of that, and hopefully you can see that there is a kind of shine on there. This is not the final use of this stone. I like to go 2 or 3 times on each side. So I will be doing this for about a minute to a minute and a half. It honestly doesn't matter how many strokes you have. All that matters is the pressure that you use on the blade. Now, how much pressure am I using? It's a decent amount of pressure at first to get the scratches out from the 600 stone. And sometimes I just threw that right at my crotch. Great. But you can see that it builds up a bit. It's not as shiny as it used to be. So I just put a dot of oil on it, rub it on. And then I continue a little bit. And what I found is for the polishing stones, it really benefits if you put a couple drops on it. Don't douse the stone because it's not really going to soak into the stones. All it really does is keep the blade cool and create a little slurry that I'm going to show you in a second. You can see that it creates a little slurry. That helps polish the blade a lot. But I don't need it on this side. I have a little burr. So I'm gonna go onto this side again. But this time I use a tiny amount of pressure. And I found that this helps quite a bit if I'm trying to get a super polished blade. When I first started sharpening my knives, I never really needed to get to that real big polish because, I mean, come on, your skills are not going to be that great when you first start. I missed a little bit on the tip. And if you have one spot missing, it's a lot easier to do the entire blade because you won't tend to stay on one spot too long, because that can really damage the blade. You can over sharpen and put a really bad swoop in the blade. And now that little burr is gone. And to make this video a little bit shorter, I'm just gonna stomp on that stone. This is one of the bad things about it, is because you only have this little amount of space. Let me measure this. It's only about 3 1/8. Hopefully I got that measurement right, but it's between 3 inches and 3 1/4. You can easily move this around, but if you do hold on to it a bit, it won't move as much, especially if you use a little toolbox liner. And I like to put that on the top of my disassembly mat, because this is just a silicone mat. It's pretty soft, but it doesn't move a whole bunch. And sometimes I do that to keep my blade from falling off and cutting me wide open. So for the Sapphire Stone, I only put probably 1 dot on the entire blade. I mean the stone, not the blade, because that would be a waste of oil. Hopefully you can see that it's a little bit shiny. So right here on the Sapphire Stone, this is going to give you a pretty great shine. Almost mirror-ish. It is a very hard stone, and it just glides over the surface of the blade's edge. What I've found, I've found a lot of things with this system. Is it's really nice for smaller blades, but for a bigger blade, we're gonna grab this for comparison. This here KT Fossil, which is about a 4-inch blade. You can see that this is only a 1/2-inch stone, so you're only going to get maybe that much on the blade itself. So it'll take a lot longer. If you can, find a 1/2-inch stone set. I think the KME is a 1/2-inch set. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, in the comments below. I don't know everything, nor will I claim to know everything in the world, no matter how badly I want to be right. And I know I'm not the only one. And that's sufficiently shined up a bit. Hopefully you can see that it's pretty shiny. Let me look into the camera here. It's a lot shinier. There's a light directly above me, maybe to the left a little bit. And you can probably see a shine difference. Between the sides. So I'll check the stone. There's still some oil easily left on, so I will go and run over this. Like I said, it won't take too long. You usually take the longest on your coarsest stones. And this stone should be a lot quieter than even that 1000 stone. Okay. After I go once on each side, I like to take my time and count. Okay. If you can hear in the background, there is SpongeBob going on. It was one of my favorite shows as a kid, and it still is now because they're so ridiculously stupid, they're funny. And I get all of the adult references now. Well, before I start on with this, I'd like to explain to you why I have a glove. This is just a mechanic's glove. It's a XL glove from Harbor Freight. Great set of gloves if you're just starting out. This is not professional grade, but even if you are a professional, you can truly benefit from a couple pairs of these gloves. You can go through maybe 1 or 2 pairs a year. They're so cheap that it doesn't even matter. They're Western safety. So, what I recommend that you do with this system is, yes, you can leave this in the hole, but you can see that it moves around a lot, side to side, and I'm going up and down, so there is a lot of chatter in there. So what I do is I like to grip with my thumb around here, the rest of my fingers are on the back, and my index goes up and holds it to the top to keep it steady. And what I've found about this tip, it just makes it so much easier to keep a consistent edge on here. The first time I didn't even think about it, and I had an edge that went sort of like that. I'm really exaggerating on my finger, so alright. So it went kind of like that. It wasn't necessarily a curve, like a convex edge. It was more like a lot of people call it a micro bevel, but it was 2 bevels the exact same size. A micro bevel is a really tiny second bevel on the edge. And what that usually does is that it makes it a stronger edge for a little bit heavier tasks. I don't necessarily need to use them on my blades unless the blade is super thin. I would say about a 0.8 to 0.9. This is a 0.9, but I found that the 420 and the M390 is actually really good and really tough, so it can actually keep it at a smaller bevel at the end. But you can see after repeated use, the stone guide rods will turn your fingers black. And let me tell you, unless you have Gojo, this will never come off your finger for, I don't know, I've had them on there for 2 to 3 weeks sometimes. So, let me just feel which side. Alright, this side. This is the point where I will usually count to 50. So I'm counting as 1, 2. I know I'm kind of contradicting myself from my earlier comment saying that the amount of strokes doesn't matter, and that's all generally true until you get to your polishing stones. Making it more even makes a more consistent shine, and it honestly doesn't matter because your knife's gonna cut no matter what. And that's the main point of a knife. The secondary cool is, yeah, having the mirrored edges that you can literally do your hair and your makeup if you wear makeup in. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm just going to count in my head. And what you saw right there was I fell off. Because, yet again, this is very tiny. I think I said that this was a half-inch and then said that KMEs were half-inch. No, these are a half-inch. KMEs are about 1 inch. Either a 3/4 or a 1 inch. And that just is so much easier and it takes a lot less time. So I'll flip over to the other side. I can get it in there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you don't really need to go anymore. My OCD is being even, so I go down 50 strokes to 40 to 30 to 20 to 10 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, flip it over and do the same thing. But that's just my OCD. Now is my favorite part. Oh, should probably put this stone back with the others. Pull that over. I use this for the Phillips and this for the flat. On this system, you have the 2 screws, the main screw, and this just gives an extra tighten. All you need to do is take this one off. I usually use these smaller things because it gives me enough torque without really cranking on it. Okay, put that off to the side. Close that. And as I was saying, my favorite part, stropping. I like to stand up to strop. I'm weird. I don't know why I like to do this. Push that up a little bit. So go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another. And I don't know about you, but I like to go from heel to tip on the very last one. This is one compound that makes it shine pretty good. This is the other compound, a white and red. Red I've found to be a little bit better than white in putting a really good shine, like a final shine on it. One. Alright. That's all the stropping that I need to do. This camera's not really going to be too great about it. Maybe. Yeah, you can see that it's not quite a mirror shine, but you can read through it. It's okay. Right there and there. So just to show you how sharp the blade is, And some phone book paper. Oh yeah. I mean, it's just... It's just gliding right through. It's pretty quiet, actually. Oh, that was just horrible. But you get the gist. That was an entire paper. You can see some hair came off. I don't have a lot, and I'm not going to go all the way around my arm to get rid of it. But I think that's enough to show you that you can get some knives pretty ridiculously sharp in a short amount of time. That probably took me from a full reprofile to this about 45 to an hour. Depends on how bad the edge is. So yeah, I said in an earlier video that I was going to do a follow-up video from the 1000 grit to the 2000 and show you what it's like and how fast it could actually be from really decently sharp to ridiculously razor sharp. PvP. If you get that reference, you're an awesome person. If you don't, you're still awesome, but slightly less awesome. If you don't know, it is a birdshot IV thing. It stands for phone book paper. And there we go, repping the birdshot IV, or birdshot 4 if you want. Birdshot IV is a lot weirder to say, and it's kind of funny. So yeah, I hope you liked it. Please comment what you want me to do next. If you want me to do something different. If you want me to do another sharpening. If you want me to talk about knives or whatever, go ahead and leave your comment down below. Subscribe if you want to, like or dislike. They both help tell me what you guys like. So yeah, I hope you liked the video, and I hope to see you the next time I upload another video.